4 in our lower back series. So video 1 to 3 was looking at some motions in the pelvis and how it can create motion further up through the spine, and just seeing what kind of motion we had available to us. In this video, we're going to do a little bit with therapy balls, so these guys here. And we're just really going to be using these small rubber balls just to help to quieten down our system, just to really kind of teach us to relax. So quite often, again, with lower back stuff, you know, I have people coming in and they're just have a lot of kind of gripping in the body. So I find these little guys just help us to kind of chill out a little bit, you know, turn that volume down. So we're going to come and we're going to pop down once again onto our backs. As always, we could do a little bit of breath work to invite ourselves to move a little bit inward. I always use the channel of the third eye to invite this quietening into my body. If you have a different technique that you'd like to use, of course, go for it. So once we've done a little bit of breath work and we've kind of begun to invite our systems to quieten down, we can take our 2 therapy balls. So we're going to come and find these 2 little bony bits that jut out of our pelvis here on either side. So if you have a little feel around with your fingertips, you should find these guys. Our ASIS, our anterior superior iliac spines. I call them our headlights. So we come and we find our headlights. And we're just going to lightly ground the feet into the floor, and we're going to just reach the knees away from us a little bit to lift that pelvis up and away from the floor just a little bit. And so you can see I'm just here underneath the kind of the waistband of my pants. I'm going to stay along that line, and I'm going to roll those therapy balls all the way around to the back of my pelvis until they meet. And then I'm just going to separate them a tiny little bit, so about 2 finger distance. So you should be able to kind of fit 2 fingers or maybe 2.5 fingers or possibly 3 fingers in between those balls. We're not going to be too exact with it, okay? So they're going to nestle in and around kind of the SI joint area, the sacroiliac area, where our sacrum slots into the back of the pelvis. And we are just going to lie here and breathe. We're just inviting the back of our pelvis to let go into the sensation that has been created by these therapy balls. Sometimes in the beginning that sensation might be a little bit heightened, especially if you've got some little bits of stuff going on down around here. If it's too much, if you can't breathe and you feel like you're just tensing up more or creating more noise in your body, separate the balls a little bit more, move them up a little bit, move them down a little bit. Try and find a spot that you can settle and relax into. So I'm doing okay here, so I'm going to just stay here for about a good 2 minutes. I like to just relaxing, taking as long as you need to. Each time you breathe out, we're just going to, it's like we're just allowing that pelvis just to melt a little bit more into those therapy balls. So once you feel that you've kind of got the idea and you feel that you kind of just let go a little bit, we can now begin to add a little bit of our movements to this. So some of these movements that we learned in the earlier videos. So again, we can visualize our pelvic clock on the back of the pelvis, and we can begin to rock that pelvis between our 12 and 6. We can then, after doing a little bit of this, visualize our 3 and 9 on the clock, and we can begin to gently rock and shift our weight between our 3 and 9. If we feel comfortable with this, we can then invite all of the numbers into our little pelvic clock, and we can begin to slowly circle all of that clock, noticing if there are areas that are a little bit more difficult for us to go into than others. And as always, we are not forcing anything. You'll probably notice that you will have picked your easier way to circle your clock first. We're very clever. So if you moved in the clockwise direction first of all, you can then move in an anti-clockwise direction then, or vice versa. So we begin to circle then in the opposite direction. Using our breath all the time. I also like to then move the therapy balls into different areas of the buttock. So I'm going to travel each ball down the back of each buttock about an inch or two. So we're just going to explore different areas, moving down towards the sitting bones right here in underneath the crease of the buttocks. Our ischial tuberosities are our sitting bones, those little bony bits down there. So I'm kind of in the center of the back of the pelvis right now, and I'm going to play around with these movements again. I can then, as I said, begin to travel down towards those sitting bones. Once I kind of get down there, maybe I'll go a little bit wider with the setting of the therapy balls and move back up the back of the pelvis, just playing around with these little movements. What you'll probably notice then at the end, when you take those therapy balls out, you'll probably notice a very different feeling in how the back of the pelvis is meeting with the floor underneath you. So guys, that's video number 4. Thanks for watching.